Are you looking for the perfect card effect for your website? If so, keep watching, because in this video we're going to be looking at how to make this super awesome expanding card effect with CSS, HTML, and a little bit of JavaScript. And without further ado, let's hop right. Okay, so here I am in CodePen, and I'll have the link to this CodePen in the description if you want to follow along. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a head tag where we're going to import our font awesome icon for the arrow, which we're going to use later on. So let's just copy this here. And then next we're going to set up some basic HTML. We're going to have a body tag here. And inside of this, we're going to have a main class with a class of content. And this is going to be our whole card, which we're going to center just to make it easier to see. And inside of this, we're going to have a section with a class of card, which is going to be our card. And then we're also going to have a div with a class of top half, which we're going to style so we can have that border bottom thing you saw earlier. And then after this, we're going to have an H1 with some just filler text. And then after this, we're going to close this top half div, and then we're going to create our paragraph, and we're going to have some filler text in here. Okay, let's copy paste this into here, this filler text. And then after this, we're going to have a I class, which is how you import font awesome icons. And we're just going to give this the class so we can get that arrow. So we're going to fa angle down. And then we're going to give it an ID of expand arrow so we can use this later on. And let's close this tag. And let's close this section tag and the main tag as we used earlier. And our body tag. And that's going to be it for our HTML. Okay, let's move on to our CSS. The first thing we're going to do is use the everything selector, which is this asterisk. And we're going to do this to so that the width and the height properties that we set, it includes any border and padding. So we're going to have a before and an after, and we're going to say box sizing border box, which will include the I don't know why I put border radius, which will include the padding and the border when we set the width and the height. So that's what that's for. And then next we're going to move to our body, which we're going to set the background to, just to make it nicer to just look at. So background RGB 282828, which is this like dark color. And then we're going to set a font family to sans serif. And then next, we're just going to center our everything so it looks better. So we're going to say content, position absolute. And this is a common way to center a div. So left 50% and translate -50%, -50%. So that's just going to place everything in the center. And this is one of the common ways to fix the problem of centering a div. So you can use this. And next, we're going to move on to our card. And we're going to set a background to 282828. Need to put a hashtag there. We're also going to give this a height of 6.8 rem. So this thing, we're going to give it a height of 6.8 rem. So it's this small little thing, but we're going to have this arrow later on and it'll expand. And then the next thing, we're going to have a width. We're going to give it a width of 25 rem. And by the way, rem is just means relative to the root font size. So if we set like the root font size to like 18 pixels, it'll be relative to that. So that's why we're using rem. And we'll set the color to white so we can actually see it. And then we're gonna set a border radius on this thing to 5 pixels, so it curves a little bit. We're gonna give it a position relative. And you'll see what we'll do with that later on. But basically, we're gonna use this so that the arrow is gonna be at the bottom of this card here, and it'll just like stay at the bottom of there because we'll give it a position absolute. And we're gonna say overflow hidden, so it's hidden for now, and we'll make it up here later on. And we'll also give it a padding of 20 pixels and 22 pixels, so that it just looks a little bit nicer. It's not too crammed. And then next, we're gonna select the card top half, which is gonna include this part. And so we can have that border bottom thing. And so we're going to give it a border bottom of 1 pixel solid white. So just so we get that nice border. And then the next thing we'll do is the arrow. So we're going to select the expand arrow ID, and we'll give it a background of RGB 515151, which will make it easier to see once it appears. Next, we'll give it position absolute. So it goes to the bottom of our card, bottom 0, left 0, and the width of 100%, so it takes about the whole space. We'll also set the height to 2 rem, so it's easier to see. And then we'll give it a bigger font size, so say font size is 20 pixels. And then we're going to align everything in the center, so we're going to do display flex, align items center, and align item center will center everything vertically, and then justify content center is going to center everything horizontally. We'll also give this arrow a cursor pointer, which will make it give this, so we'll see that it'll make it seem like we can click on it, which we'll do with JavaScript later on. And then that's going to be it for this expand arrow. We're also going to set the expand arrow hover, which will make it a lighter color just to make it nicer. So we're going to set the background to hashtag 444. So basically when we hover over it gets a little lighter, which will make it look a little nicer. And then that's going to be it for our styles. And the next thing we're going to do is our JavaScript. Wait, I just realized that I forgot to add a comma up here, so that's why I was showing some text, so that's how it's supposed to look. And after we've done that, let's move on to our JavaScript. Okay, the first thing we're going to do for our JavaScript is just put in some variables for our arrow, so it'll be easier when we actually use it. So document arrow equals document.getElementById. This is just a method that we can use in JavaScript to get certain things by their ID. So we're going to get the expand arrow, and then we're also going to get the card. And by the way, const just means that like it can't be changed, the name. So the card equals document.query selector.card. So query selector is basically like selecting it by its like thing. So you can put this dot card, and it's just an easier way to select things. And the next thing is we're gonna have arrow.add event listener. So it's just gonna listen for an event, and we're gonna make it click. So when we click on it, we're just gonna do something, and we're just gonna set it to function, empty function, expand, which we're gonna make right now. So we're gonna make function expand, parentheses, brackets, and we're gonna have an if statement. So we're gonna say if the card.style.height is not equal to auto, which basically means if the height isn't like the full thing, then we're gonna do something. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the card.style.height is auto. So basically when we click on this, if the height isn't auto, we're gonna make it auto. So it goes like that, expands like that. And we're also gonna make the arrow, once we do this, transform so it looks like we can open and close it. So we want it to rotate, so we're gonna say transform equals rotate 180 degrees. So now that we click on it, it should rotate. See, it rotates now. And yeah, now that we've done that, we're also gonna have an else statement where we're gonna say if it's not, okay, so we said if it's auto, if it's not auto, then we do set it to auto. So else, so everything else, we set it to, so if it is auto and we click this, we're gonna set the height to 6.8 rem, which is this thing, this original height. So the last thing we're gonna do, so basically now that we click it, it just opens, closes, but we also need to rotate the arrow. So we need to say arrow.style.transform equals rotate 0 degrees. So which is gonna make it rotate to the original position, so basically no rotation. So it's gonna look like this. And that is how you make an awesome expanding card effect. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share that with anyone you think would find this video helpful. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.